to our freedom song and the episode 4, The Power of Pronouns. For a while, there's been a push to make it illegal for people to not use your pronoun, to the point of fines and even jail time. Now, anybody with any logic, reason, common sense, and the understanding of human nature knows exactly how this will end, as it did in the UK and Australia. But when you're debating people who think this is perfectly fine, that not using someone's pronoun is an act of violence, logic and reason, facts don't matter. What you're speaking to is raw emotion. So speak to it. So you give them this scenario that could easily play out. Now, it's going to come down to what happens on January 6th and maybe even January 20th. But let's pretend for a moment. Let's say Trump wins through the courts and he becomes president for the next 4 years. Of course, the people pushing the agenda for pronouns to be made this legal way of speech or illegal way of speech, instead of trying to argue facts, you try a different approach. You use their hatred to prove a point. So let's say the bill gets passed the House and Senate to make it a criminal offense if you don't use someone's pronouns or misgender. According to the SJWs, Trump is Hitler, Stalin, the Antichrist. At least that's how they see him, this evil entity. What do you think he'll do when that bill ends up on his desk? Well, their reaction will be simple. Again, some people are predictable on what they'll say. Well, he won't sign it because he's evil. On the contrary, if he is everything that you say he is, why wouldn't he sign it? And before the ink dried, he would look up to the camera, smile wide, and proclaim himself God. That would be his pronoun. And you would have to call him that, because if you don't, it's an act of violence. An act of violence towards a sitting president is treason, punishable by lifetime imprisonment or something else, because that's what I would do if I was evil. Again, as I said before, I don't have to believe in your ideology to use it against you. Basically, the SJWs will give him the power to proclaim himself God and the means to enforce it. That means the CNNs and the MSNBCs and the ABCs, whenever they talk about Trump, would have to say God. If they don't, well, they're breaking the law. Treason, I suppose. Basically, every time you would call him his pronoun, it would be the equivalent of kissing the ring of the king. You see, SJWs, you don't think that far ahead. You don't think anybody will ever use it in a means that is, well, not of best intentions. See, a good person wouldn't sign it. The reasoning of what I just said. If he doesn't use it, somebody else will. Your mayors, your governors, your judges. This is why you do not do this. Hence the reason of freedom of speech. Understanding the worst of human nature that has existed since the beginning of time and will exist till its end will keep you from having to kiss rings of an ideology of your own creation. Again, when you're speaking to people who are only driven by emotion, learn to speak to it. The object isn't necessarily winning the argument. Sometimes it's about getting people to think for themselves, to see the broader stroke. Offend away. And for those who are offended, put wax in your ears and listen to nothing. For the rest of the world will either sing sweet music from it or confuse sounds, as it was intended. It is not our right to dictate who speaks. It is our human responsibility to choose who we listen to.